Rishi Sunak has pledged to the British people and to me and to my voters that he will stop the votes by January. So good luck with that, and I will give him all the support I can to make sure that we deliver it. I
Okay.
don't know why you're laughing.
No, because you said by January, then you said good luck. Come on. The civil service has got bigger and more expensive. The number of civil servants working for the government has increased by almost a quarter in the past 7 years, and the annual salary bill has grown by 60% to over £15 billion. As for those earning more than £100,000 a year, that has nearly doubled since 2016. Jake Berry is the Conservative MP for Rossendale and Darwin and former party chair, of course, and we can speak to him now. Morning to you.
Good morning, Asma. How are you?
Very well, thank you. What do you make of these figures then? What's your kind of instant reaction?
Well, my instant reaction is that it reflects a deep-seated problem we have in our civil service. I was listening to your interview with Yvette Cooper earlier when she was saying that the number of asylum cases is reduced by a third, the number that are processed. You have more civil servants doing less than they've ever done before and paid too much. And that's why I've repeatedly called for industry experts to be brought in to reform the civil service.
It's been quite a busy period, though, hasn't it? We've had Brexit, we've had COVID. Does that explain partially why there have been more people brought in?
It may well do, but it doesn't explain the huge productivity gap between the private and the public sector. I know this week is Immigration Week, so I'm doing the government's work by talking about it. If you had a private company and were to say we will pay you even, I don't know, £10,000 per application that they process, that, in terms of clearing a backlog, you could sack, sort of dozens of civil servants and just pay by results. It seems to me the civil service is too big. They are not bad people. They are brilliant. There are brilliant civil servants who I've worked with throughout my career. They are just in a completely flawed organisation that needs massive reform.
Now, you've referred to them as the blob. Back in June, you said that a blob, or the blob, had frustrated the delivery of Brexit and forced Boris Johnson out of office. We've kind of gone over that before, I suppose. What was your day-to-day experience? You, of course, have to say that you worked with lots of fantastic civil servants, but can you explain to us when you were frustrated by them? Give us examples of what it was. Was it an individual thing, or was it a wider attitude thing?
Well, just for accuracy, what I actually said was the establishment had frustrated Brexit and forced Boris Johnson out, but maybe shorthand for the same thing. Look, I mean, there are great people who work in the civil service, particularly when you're a minister, you have your private office and they're very focused on delivering your priorities. But one of the great frustrations I had, I remember telling my wife that what my job as being a minister was going and fight every single day with a sort of government machine that isn't focused on delivery, and my job was trying to get them to focus on delivery of the government's priorities. That shouldn't be a battle that you have to have, and that's why I have long believed and long campaigned for reform at the top level of the civil service, to bring in industry experts who focus on the government's priorities for delivery, who can drive the organisation. Frankly, the only qualification for being a senior civil service is having been a civil servant for a long time. That is not the same thing as knowing how to run big organisations and drive priorities through them.
So was the battle down to something ideological or something logistical?
Well, I would say it was logistical. The civil service machine is effectively set up to maintain the status quo, in my opinion. And when you come in and you want to change things, I got into politics to try and improve the lives of people here where I live in Lancashire, but more generally in the United Kingdom. There is great resistance to changing that status quo. One of the things I was involved with was taking power away from London and trying to give it back to mayors in the regions. And I can tell you that was one hell of a battle, because those who have power rarely give it up without a fight.
Rishi Sunak has a very different experience. He says blob accusations don't come from me. He specifically said doesn't come from me. My general experience has been in all the jobs I've done, but also particularly the Treasury. I've always been supported by incredibly hardworking and diligent civil servants who responded to what I needed and worked all hours, day and night, to deliver what I wanted.
Well, good for Rishi Sunak. I mean, that's not my experience. We can only live by our own life experience. And my view is that the power of the Treasury. I mean, if he's worked in the Treasury, then he will have seen that Treasury civil servants have massive, far too much control over other government departments. The Home Office, for example, should be allowed to get on with immigration. There's far too much interference by the Treasury, and that's why we may just disagree about it. But that's why I think the civil service fundamentally needs reform. And I can tell you that when I talk to people here at home in Lancashire, there is a feeling in this country that we have. He is reflecting the frustration of the British people that we are, perceived and actually are, in my view, a soft touch when it comes to asylum. If you compare us with France, the most recent figures is that they accept a third, 32% of asylum seekers, and here in the UK, we accept 77%. A lot of asylum seekers who come to the UK have had a previous failed asylum claim in another European country. France only houses about 50% of its asylum seekers. That's why you see these camps and things like that. There is a reason people want to come to Britain, and it's because we are an easy country to claim asylum. And I think the frustration Lee Anderson is talking about isn't just that, but, is the fact that when you have people who say, I won't go into the accommodation you provide because I'm scared of water or afraid of water, as I've read in the national newspapers. I agree with Rob Jenrick and what he's trying to do, which is saying, well, actually, if the British taxpayer is providing accommodation for you, you should reasonably accept it.
Okay. Lee Anderson has chosen his words carefully, one presumes, because he's quite candid. It's not a one-off. This is how he speaks. Rishi Sunak expresses a different sentiment, a different way. So who is the current Conservative Party, would you say? Is it Lee Anderson or is it Rishi Sunak?
Good question. I think what I would say is that we're a broad church because I'm neither Lee Anderson nor Rishi Sunak, but I'm a proud member of the Conservative Party and a Conservative MP. I think people like Lee, and I like to think myself a bit, speak to our own voters in the Red Wall and the frustration that people feel with this particular issue. But I also commend the Prime Minister making dealing with the asylum issue as one of his top 5 priorities. Of course, Rishi Sunak has pledged to the British people and to me and to my voters that he will stop the votes by January. So good luck with that, and I will give him all the support I can to make sure that we deliver it.
Okay.
I don't know why you're laughing.
No, because you said by January, then you said good luck. Come on, really.
I'm being massively supportive of the Prime Minister and his priorities.
You're laughing yourself now. It's ridiculous.
You're laughing. It's
okay.
Contagious. You've done a contagious laugh.
It's my fault. Okay, it's my fault. Very quickly, can I talk about honours? You have an honour. I think Boris Johnson was responsible for that. Liz Truss gave 14 honours for her 49 days in power. Do you think that's an acceptable number?
Well, it's a pretty minimal honours list, and I'm glad that Liz has sort of, if she is going to do one, and that's a matter for her, has sort of decided to pare it right back. I do feel that this system needs a review. As you say, I'm very grateful and honoured to have been a recipient of an honour. Mine was for services to the economy of the north of England. I do think it's a system that needs review because I think the number of people we are seeing coming forward, particularly in these resignation honours list, and some of the choices made by our former Prime Minister Boris Johnson are undermining public confidence in what is an important system in terms of recognising people who've given outstanding public service.
Okay, Jake Berry, thank you very much. Conservative MP for Rossendale and Darwen and former party chair.